everyone, I'm Nick in the States.
Tim from the States as well.
And we're, today we have another Tim and Nick double take. But I wanted to do a good tone comparison. We've done some look and feel and whatever, but a tone comparison between a real Gibson Les Paul, in this case a traditional Plus with 57 classic pickups, and a Harley Benton SC-450 with Wilkinson pickups that are like Wilkinson WBS SGBs. They have a funky little part number, whatever. They're Wilkinson pickups. But remarkably similar guitars. If you want to hold that one up for the big cam. You know, you can see both of them sort of like an iced tea finish. One more iced tea, one more tobacco burst. All the major comparisons are pretty much the same. They both have vintage style tuners, 24 3/4 inch scale, covered humbuckers, 2 volume, 2 tones, 2 pneumatic, stop tail, mahogany of some sort, maple cap. That's a solid maple cap with beautiful flame maple. This is a maple cap with a flame maple veneer, but you almost can't really tell, right? Right. So what we're going to do is just do some clean tones back and forth, and then some dirty tones back and forth, and at the end talk a little bit about it. And be sure to add comments what you think on the outside looking in as well down below, because like I say, everyone's got a different thing they're looking for out of their guitar. And by no means is this the end all be all comparison, but it seemed like a cool thing to do, relatively easy, so we're going to do it. Cool. And with that, take it away, man. In IT, nobody ever got fired for buying IBM or Cisco. Nobody ever got kicked out of a band for buying a Les Paul. It just kind of it works pretty well.
I like these pickups.
Yeah, they're nice. They're not the burst buckers in the standards are a little bit different, but I think the 57s are very much in the natural lineage from the original PAF. Like the same kind of feel, open. You can do a lot of different
presence. Playing the rhythm stuff. They're not flimsy, a nice full body.
Sweet. All right, well, while that's still fresh, we're going to swap guitars.
Got a little
Nice.
lost in that one.
Nothing wrong with that. So, before we even get to tone, talk about feel. Like, how do they feel different? What's the from one to the next jumping?
It's crazy. It's not a monumental drop off to me. At least in terms of what you're paying to get that and get this. I think if you could split hairs and probably come up with a number of things that are better or higher quality about that, but how much better? You know what I mean? Like,
You're
how
talking
many
right here sitting for what I paid.
magnified? How many times is that better than this?
This guitar
for the average man
to my door was 10 times.
10 times
What that guitar costs. That was under 150. This was $1,500 used. New it was $22.99, give or take. So you're like, 10 to 15.
I will tell you, without batting an eye, it does not feel 10 times better. Not nearly. And I like quality gear. I love Gibson. I could never afford one. I did have one of their acoustics for many years, which I kind of regret not having now, but that's a whole nother story.
That's how you have the Princeton for some of the other videos, though.
Exactly. That's how I obtained the Princeton, so I guess all is not that bad. But, I originally said when I played that one, oh, I love these pickups, and then I put this in my hands, and it was like, I was expecting, okay, here we go, and it was not all that bad. Not 10 times worse, I would say. Again, you can see on some of the finish work and the inlays and probably electrical components and whatnot. It's a finer guitar, but it's all about the money,
It is.
And us average dudes with a family and expenses, I just sometimes have to scratch my head with some of these price points, or
it's only getting worse.
They're out of my league, unfortunately. I would love to own at least one Les Paul. Maybe someday I will, but if you are like most people, in that category, this really is not a bad option.
And a lot of people, and myself included, who bought those, and I bought, because plug here for Thillman, I don't get any money from them, but you buy up to 3 of them, it's the same $35 shipping. 30 euro, it's about $35. So if I was buying 1 or 2, I would go see if anybody else wanted to buy one and split the shipping. They save $10 or 15 or 20 bucks on shipping. So I've had 4 or 5 of those exact ones, SC-450s or the previous L-450, come through my hand, and everyone's like, maybe I'll get it. It's short money, less than $150, and I'll swap the pickups out when I get it. And a bunch of guys on the Agile forums that all bought them kind of had the same idea. I don't know anybody that swapped the pickups. Like, they're good enough that you're like, I don't need to.
Yeah.
Like, you could if you love Jeff Beck in the bridge and a little 59 in the neck, or put some burst buckers in or whatever. Sure, and you got plenty of meat left on the bone money wise. But a lot of people get them. They're like, wow, these are actually kind of articulate. They're not muddy. They're not that like.
There's a lot of obsession that comes with gear that people feel compelled that they need to do things, and if you just give it some time, sometimes you're surprised that, hey, I don't really need to change this. But if I could make a really good analogy, which I think fits here, is a while back I saw some hidden camera show, and it was all about value and how it's perceived in the mind. And they had a couple of different types of cake. It was actually the same cake. They cut it up, and they fed it to these people, and they were like, oh, this is a $3 cake. And then they give them the other one. They say, oh, well, this is the really good stuff. And they're eating the same exact thing, and just perceived in the mind by value, they're like, oh, this is kind of dry. Like, oh, this is so much better, the frosting and everything. And then they would break it to them. You're eating the exact same thing. It's just in your mind. I don't know what the show is. I think it's doesn't matter. But point taken. And if you could also equivalent it to like a Harley Davidson or something, if I have to explain, you wouldn't understand.
The Vulcan 800 rider next to him is like,
I get it. I mean, everyone wants a Gibson. It's pride in the USA and all that stuff. But
here's where I'll say something, and I'll be delicate about this because I've gotten in trouble in the past, or I've stepped on some people's toes. Personally, for me, I enjoy playing a Harley Benton like this, gloss set up nicely, more than I enjoy playing from the feel, from how it feels sitting in my lap and the way it looks, than an LPJ or a Faded series, or even I have a 60s somewhere around here, Les Paul 60s Tribute Gold Top with a satin finish to it. They're all great playing guitars. They sound awesome. But from a feeling in my hand of quality, it feels better because it's a gloss finish. It's not that satin. The fret work on the edges are better than some of those. And those cost 3 or 4 times as much money. So there's like that sweet point. But they sound, some of them sound phenomenal. They're great guitars. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that, like, I would rather play this than my Melody Maker, my 2014 Melody Maker.
Yeah, I can't say that from experience myself. I don't own as many axes as this man with the issues. But I will say that it's just, maybe if they were a little closer in price, or there are a lot of examples where, we'll just save the extra dough and get the really good one, which is a great way of thinking. But when you're talking about 10 times the money, you got to just take pause.
I have this. I still have more money in this total, $1,500 for I bought it, than all 9 of my Harley Bentons combined. And that's the thing. And I still have this. I love this guitar. I wouldn't get rid of it. I've thought about getting rid of it.
I guess it makes it really hard to have multiple. You just have the one.
And some people have,
with a cloth and
some people have an R8, an R9, an R0 Les Paul, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000 Les Paul, or even a standard or one of these or whatever, and they're good with it. And I'm envious because I'm not wired that way. Personally, like, I like variety. I like to have this, and if I don't have, then there's always one more, and that's just how I'm wired. It's me.
It could come down to the style of music you're playing, and your level of ability, and a lot of people can pick out certain nuances, But again, at the end of the day, it's just like he said. Is it 10 times better? And the answer, I gotta say, is no. But
and that's the whole point of my channel is. I try to make it the point of the channel is, if you've got under $500 to spend on the guitar, what are some good options to not get screwed and to not have to throw a bunch more money into it,
Yeah.